Okay, so last video I shared the top 10 things that I miss about Sri Lanka. And this time, here are the top 10 things I do not miss. Is the absence of fair labor and wage laws. I will never grumble about American wages ever again. And I'll tell you what, I was making about $450 a month when I was living in Sri Lanka. My rent was about $200. It was rough. I think when I got back here in the US, I was working, in the first month, I made about as much as I did the whole year for when I was living in Sri Lanka. The beach parties that only played house music, I swear, if I hear dun, 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 throughout every single song, is it necessary? No. Cockroaches. These mofos will be in your house no matter how clean your house is. They will find a way. They are like, we are your living neighbors. I don't care how clean your house is, I'm coming in. One time when I was staying, it was really hot at night and I wanted to open my window. So if the mosquitoes don't come in, it's the cockroaches. The very next day, I have 4 huge cockroaches in my apartment. It's not having a dryer. I understand it's very hot. You put your clothes out, heats up, no real need for a dryer, but still, if you needed to wash something and wear it, you have to wait for like a day for it to be fully dry. And then because we had it outside and where me and my roommate lived, we were like right on this main street. And we put the clothes on the back of the house where it's like more jungle, but you're getting all the exhaust and stuff into your clothes, or like dust and stuff from the trees that are falling. The exhaust fumes. Like if you're in your tuk and this big A bus comes by and blows all of his hot black, fumes, you're right in the thick of it because your tuk has no closure. So you're just like bombarded with this smoke, with the exhaust. It was disgusting. And then you're like, then the tuk drivers didn't really care because they just drive through it and you're just like, please don't take me through that place. There's a sense of elitism in Colombo, at least, and maybe it's only the crowds that I was around. Definitely not that type of person. Me, I'm not. But it's just like, if you had to dress certain ways, you had to do certain things, and just so people would notice you, just so you get like all these, cool points or whatever. It's all about your status. You had to look like you were doing well, and it was, to me, ridiculous. The dodgy taxi drivers, and we had the Ubers or taxi drivers asking for my number. Actually, when I first got there, there was a lot of these. They pick me up and then they drop me off and they're like, I love you, and drive off. And I'm like, well, that was a short love story. Glad I was part of that, I guess. But no, there was one time where I just wish I had kneed this boy in the face, this driver, because he went out and he acted like we ran out of gas. And then he came around on the passenger side and leaned across me to check, because there's some part of the engine or whatever that's under the passenger seat, but on the right side of the taxi. So most drivers get out, come on the right side and deal with it. But he leaned across me, his whole body, and then he gets up and waves his hand across my leg. Oh man, I was so pissed off. I just got out and he drove off. But I'm like, man, his face was right by my knee. I should have just... The 6 to 1 year apartment deposits. Now in America, we have your 1 month security deposit, but they're asking 6 months to 1 year deposits. When I decided to stay, my $500 was gone. I was living on a cafe wage. It was by the grace of God and by a lot of hospitality from my church that I was even able to find housing for the 2 years I was there. But yeah, it must be an Asian thing. I don't know if it's in other parts of the world, but I do not miss that. Customer service. So they are working on it, and actually, some of the more Western focused locations are doing better. But in general, you're like, customer service was not heard of here, clearly. And then it really saddened me that a lot of the servers in the restaurants and cafes are scared of foreigners. And so they were like very timid and didn't want to talk. And I was like, please talk to me. It's okay. Like, I'm not gonna like bash you across the head if you get something wrong. I really wanted to like strengthen the servers there. Whitewashing, fair and lovely. I mean, brown skin is beautiful skin. And then for, to think of one another as lesser. And so what I noticed in Sri Lanka was like the darker your skin was, like even in ads, right? They'd have the lighter skinned Sri Lankan person being served by the darker skinned Sri Lankan person. And then the Tamils, which are in general a bit more dark than the Sri Lankans, but they were like definitely kind of like server class. And one time I was doing a modeling thing, and this lady did my makeup like 3 shades lighter than me, and she went all the way down here because of course you had to blend, right? And I had to stop her because I'm like, I'm modeling clothes. Your makeup's gonna get all over these clothes. And that was like one of the worst shoots. I looked like disgusting. And there are a group of people who are out there like promoting the brown and beautiful, but my gosh, I do not miss the whole, the ooh and look European and light skin this and fair skin that. Even in the ads, you had mothers doing ads for, their sons, like, oh, we need a fair-skinned girl, blah, 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 blah. Like, you ain't even fair-skinned yourself. Those are the 10 things I do not miss about Sri Lanka. But, they don't even weigh in comparison for what I do miss. But anyways, if you plan to go to Sri Lanka, you will not regret it. It is a beautiful, beautiful island. I have to go back and travel because I was so broke. I did like only trips to the south and back to Colombo. But the island, like when I look at pictures, it's gorgeous. So please, when all of this COVID thing lifts and you feel comfortable with traveling, check out Sri Lanka, okay? It's beautiful.